Adrianna Foster. I am a leadership organizer with United Workers. I'm a part of the Fair Development Roundtable and the Baltimore chapter of the Poor People's Campaign. I am going to be a co-MC with Mark Council, but before I do anything else, I just want to thank you for joining Baltimore's Truth Commission on Housing. Thank you all for all of you who are here in person. I want to acknowledge the folks who are participating virtually, and I also want to acknowledge Councilman Bullock. Thank you for joining us. So I'm going to speak briefly about what is significant about this time. One reason this time is significant is that we're approaching the 4th of July, a national holiday to celebrate American independence. We're meant to be patriotic and to think on the American values of freedom, equality, and opportunity. And in this time of fireworks and barbecues and all things colored red, white, and blue, we must confront what is the truth about this country. Because life, liberty, and happiness are systematically denied many of us. This land of freedom was built on the genocide of indigenous people and slavery, stolen people and stolen land. We have a history of war and oppression with the dedicated erasure of those oppressed people's resistance and survival. This country has generated a capitalist economy that demands exploitation and a political structure that has only guaranteed most of its population inadequate health care, mass incarceration, and massive economic inequality. So in the tradition of Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist, writer, and son of Baltimore, today we will put forward our critique of this failed system. In 1852, he said these words, "What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham, your boasted liberty an unholy license, your national greatness swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless." And he goes on to say, "This is a thin veil to cover up crimes." There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of these United States at this very hour. And this comes from what to the slave is the 4th of July. And I ask you to consider today, what to the poor is the 4th of July? What to the homeless is the 4th of July? What to the incarcerated, what to the undocumented is the 4th of July? And this celebration, this time, is full of contradictions. But today we will hear the truth. Another reason this time is significant is because we are in the midst of a global pandemic. Many are getting sick and dying. The pain and precarity that was already felt in our communities has only deepened and expanded. And we know that people have been without food, without health care, losing jobs and resources, and left without protection. But this is an important moment where people are rising up, demanding transformative change, like defunding the police, an end to state violence against Black people, and demonstrating important shows of resistance in the movement for Black lives. One other reason why this time is significant is that the few protections we have had during this pandemic are going to be taken away. We know that on July 25th, the rent moratorium is going to be lifted, which could push many across our state into the streets. And shortly after, in August, those shelter residents that have been rehoused in hotels will be placed back into city shelters, returning to the dangerous conditions they left. And so, as Mark spoke to, we are putting our failed housing system on trial. And we wanted to use the form of a truth commission because it's been used by oppressed and exploited people all over the world to investigate human rights violations, to identify patterns of violence, and to name those responsible, which in many instances are connected to state bodies and the government, and to create a space for justice that our system so often denies us. This form has been used in Argentina and South Africa and Uganda and many other places, and it also has a place in our movement history with the Poor People's Campaign, which held a series of commissions across the country on the right not to be poor. So again today, our Truth Commission is about our failed housing system, and we are putting it on trial. So you will hear about how our current system denies us the right to life, the right to dignity, the right to housing and security. We will envision a new system here and talk about the steps that need to be taken immediately to set us on that path. We are demanding that the city and state act to empty the shelters, and we aren't going back. So there needs to be a plan for permanent housing for all those that have been rehoused and those that are still in need of housing. We are demanding that the state puts a stop to evictions and expands and extends the rent moratorium. And we are also demanding that the city and state act to cancel the rent, allocating at least $175 million from the state's $1.3 billion federal COVID relief fund towards rental assistance and eviction prevention. So again, thank you for being here. We are going to start by hearing a poem from Daniel from the Lion's Den.